we have the 4 main types of string, and we're going to take you through in detail the pros and cons of each and who they might be good for.
So we have synthetic gut, we have natural gut,
we've got multi-filament, and we've got polyester.
and there's a couple of bonus categories as well coming up. So should we get into it?
Let's do it. Let's start with synthetic gut. This is a very colourful version from Prince. It is the Prince synthetic gut with Duraflex seeds, and I believe it's called Rainbow.
Yes, Prince synthetic gut has existed for a very long time. It is probably one of the most enduring, popular synthetic guts out there. And essentially, like all synthetic guts, it is a single piece of usually nylon, not necessarily, like a core, and then it's got little fibres wrapped around the outside. That is your standard construction. The idea is it feels and plays kind of like a natural gut. You'll see a little bit later on, but it's not quite living up to that.
It's not.
But the idea is it's like a cheaper option, usually for a slightly beginner player.
Yeah. So its pros are just that, very affordable and very playable.
Yes, and its cons are very simple. It's just a bit sort of bland and average. It's not exceedingly powerful, it's not particularly durable, but it's just a good, solid all-rounder.
Yeah, not exceptional on any category, which is, you know.
Yeah, so if you're just sort of getting into tennis, maybe you've bought a cheaper entry-level racket, synthetic gut is going to be a good option to get you started.
And here is a great tip.
Yes, as you can see, we have inked. We always try and ink. We've got the Yonex logo on, and that actually does affect the snapback ability of the strings. We want our strings to pop straight back in line. And when you ink it, as we've done here, it does seem to prevent that from happening. So, top tip, if you have got synthetic gut, do not ink your strings.
There you go, that's synthetic gut in a nutshell. On to the opulent, the glorious, natural gut.
The OG.
Yes.
Since tennis has been played, natural gut has been the string of choice.
Made out of the small intestine of 2 cows per set, gut is the original tennis string, the sort of the grande dame of string. Tremendous feel, tremendous power, but does have some downside.
So the pro of natural gut is it's just fantastic. It is the standard by which other tennis strings are measured. It has the best peak resilience, which is basically the impact it puts back into the ball, so all the energy goes into the ball.
Yeah.
It feels fantastic, it's incredibly powerful, and it maintains its tension better than any other string material.
Yes, unparalleled feel, unparalleled power, and absolutely opulent. What are the cons?
Well, the drawback is essentially the playability is limited by the conditions you are in and essentially the fragility of the material.
Yes.
So, sorry. Go on.
And of course, price.
Yeah.
It is a very expensive string, almost double the price of any other string for a full restring. So, yeah, who's it good for?
Millionaires,
Yeah, Pete Sampras,
pro tennis players.
Roger Federer, and millionaires.
There you go.
That's Natty G. Polyester strings, or co-polys, dominate the tour. They are the newest arrival on the scene, although not that new anymore. Luxlon Alupower was back 30 years ago, something like that. And they dominate the tour for various reasons, which we'll get to on our pros.
So a co-poly or polyester string is usually a single piece of plastic, almost every time, in fact not usually, almost every single time. And the idea is that single piece of plastic is going to give you significantly more durability, it's going to give you significantly more control and significantly more spin. Now this is because they can, the manufacturers can be a little bit clever with it. They can put different like lubricants on the strings to keep them sliding around.
Different shapes on the string.
Yeah. So there's generally far more variation in polyester strings than anything else. You can find a polyester string to do essentially any job you like, but there are always downsides, unfortunately.
Yes. The pros of a poly string. First of all is that durability. They are rock solid, hard to break, and will last a long time. However, no, not however.
No, you also are going to get far more variation. You can find different strings for different outcomes, so you get different shapes, different gauges, just far more variation in a polyester than in the other material types. and
Yes.
then generally spin.
Yeah, and you are going to get more spin out of the polys. This is why they dominate the tour. The changing game with loads and loads of heavy topspin. This was driven in part by polyester strings and their ability to generate spin even from defensive situations. Pete Sampras called it Cheetah-lon when Luxlon first brought out their polystring because of the amount of spin able to be generated in defensive situations.
However, there's drawbacks.
Yes.
There's always drawbacks, and the main one being is the tension maintenance is not as good as the other materials. So what you may find is that when you have a polyester string, you're going to lose playability before it breaks. So
Yes.
durability good, tension maintenance and playability not so much.
Yes, the polyester strings will start to drop in tension immediately and just continue to fall and continue to fall, often meaning that your game will sort of adjust to it without you realising. That's not what we want necessarily.
No.
Who's it for?
Generally, as Joe said, this is one of the most popular strings on the tour, so we're looking at good professional tennis players, but also because of the variation of different types and because of that durability, we have hundreds of customers who use polyester strings, partly because of the options, but mainly just because it's so durable.
One of the other cons is that it's quite tough on your arm. So if you are a beginner player or an older player, you might find that it's very tough and feels very hard to get on with. In that case, you probably want to choose something a little bit softer, which we'll get to next. Multi-filament strings, Ben.
Yes, now these are lots and lots and lots of fibres twisted together. Use same material as synthetic gut often, like nylon, and the idea is they're going to create as massive amounts of feel, mimicking natural gut as closely as possible.
Yes, often the brands will talk about their multi-filament strings being gut-like or having a gut-like feel. And if you watch one of our other videos, you'll see that we probably disagree, although they do try their very, very best, and they are very, very nice strings. So what are the pros?
Well, so that is the pro. The feel is absolutely fantastic without compromising the fragility that you get with natural gut.
Yeah.
You also get plenty of tension maintenance.
Yes.
I can't think of any other pros.
And also, compared to a poly, much, much softer on the arm.
Yes.
So if you're a junior, we'd recommend multi-filament. Also, again, if you're an older player, steering clear of polys because it's making your arm hurt, multi-filaments are the way to go in that regard. And that kind of covers who they're for, right? Mm-hmm. Young juniors, people with some arm issues, older tennis players, that sort of thing. But a great multi is a great multi. This is Tecnifiber's X1 biphase in this racket, and we both loved it.
Yes, the con is very, very similar to natural gut. It's just not going to last very long. The durability is quite low. The tension maintenance is good, so again, you're going to probably lose. Your racket is going to break, or you can lose durability before you lose playability. Not fantastic in the cold, not fantastic in the wet. So again, depends where you're playing. You don't get huge amounts of spin. So again, it just kind of depends on the style of player you are. If you're a serve volleyer, you like to play flat, lots of slice, maybe multi-filament is the string for you.
Roger Federer is a man to be trusted, as far as I can tell, and certainly with regards to tennis. And he goes for a hybrid string. You can put any two strings together. There are no rules, there are no laws, but Federer is basically right. And this is what we've got in here. We've got natural gut in the mains, opulent, delicious, beautiful feel. And then we've got a poly string. In this case, this is Alu Power in the crosses, giving that spin. The best of both worlds. Roger was right. The pros of in this case, the gut poly hybrid is that you get all the feel and some of the additional power that you get from the gut, but you also get some of the spin from the polys in the crosses.
Yeah, and that's the same no matter what two materials you use. In a hybrid, you're going to get a little bit of both of the pros, but conversely, you're also going to get a little bit of both of the cons. So essentially, when you hybrid a racket, you are kind of just coming back towards the middle slightly and getting a little bit of both of the pros-ish, both of the cons-ish. What we have established through rigorous testing is that you get more of the mains and less of the crosses. So in terms of the characteristics that come through when you do a hybrid. The alternative is a blend. Now, a blend...
Coined by PH Tennis.
Mm-hmm. A blend is when you use the same material but two different strings. So this is a poly blend. I have two different polyester strings in this racket. I have a round string in the mains and a shape string in the crosses. So I just get a little bit, very similar to a hybrid, a little bit of the benefits of both without losing all of the cons at the same time.
There you go. Who's it for? Anyone with a brain. That is our overview on tennis strings. And to run you through a couple of things, let's go through them quick as we can.
Yeah.
For tension maintenance, choose gut. For spin, choose
Poly,
yeah. For something arm friendly, that's going to be kind to you.
multi-filament.
Yeah. And if you're looking for the best sort of value, synthetic gut.
So there's lots of things to consider. You obviously have the racket you're using, the play style, the tension, the gauge. So stay tuned for more videos from us to explain some of those more minutiae details.
As always, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff so you never miss a thing from PH Tennis.